Hi, everyone. Welcome so much. Warm welcome. I have a bit of a cold today, so pardon my kind of froggy voice here. Let me know in the chat, where are you? Where are you coming to this roundtable from? And as you put that in the chat, just know my name is Leanne Reagan, and today's roundtable is on the critical benefits of critical thinking and how to do it, how to do critical thinking. All of these topics are based on members' requests, so I have to say a big thank you. This topic was particularly interesting. So thank you for suggesting it. Solange is coming from Brazil, Celso. And by the way, if I mispronounce your name, let me know on a DM. Celso is from Montreal. In Montreal. Oh, I'm from Vancouver. Katie is in Nairobi. We've got some more folks coming in. I am coming to you today. I'm visiting my mom, so I'm in Arizona. I had to switch the time for this time zone, so we're doing a couple of roundtables in a row at this time zone. Hi, Stephen in Nairobi, Ivan in Kampala. Hi, Tequila from Pakistan. Oh, I'm just so tickled you're all here. Well, welcome. I know there's a lot of other things that you could be doing, so thank you for spending your time with us. And you belong here. This is a community of really wonderful, lovely, lovely people. So you belong here, and thanks for showing up. Let me know in the chat. Is this your first roundtable? Have you been to others? Let me know in the chat how many roundtables. Oh, and Angèle is coming in from Abidjan. Welcome, welcome. Oh, it's also your first time, Stephen's first time. Oh, great, great. Whether this is your first or your 10th, you're absolutely welcome. Delighted that you're here. Oh, we've got a bunch more folks coming in. So if you haven't met me, particularly if you haven't met me before, these are a couple of things about me that have to do with critical thinking. So let me know in the chat, what numbers are you interested in me explaining the story behind? So I'll tell maybe one or two stories. So number one, color pink allergy. Number two, website plus guns. Number three, bots and reason. And number 4, 50th birthday plus forgetting. So let me know which of these numbers are you interested in in having me tell you the story about? 1, 2, 3, or 4. And by the way, just as you're figuring that out, I know there's one person on the call and your screen name is a phone number. So if you are interested, if you happen to be, if that person is a UN staff and you would like to get this counted towards your professional development, just make sure that you change your screen name because that's how we know who's taken part. And I'll let you know later on how you fill in the attendance sheet so you get credit for this course. Okay, let me just go back here. Okay, so I see Emmy said 3 and Ivan said 2. They were the first ones in. Okay, so 3. So I don't know about you, but I sometimes don't have critical thinking when it comes to bots. And bots are those automatic little robots that you are communicating with customer service. And I once got into a kind of embarrassing, protracted argument with a bot. In my defense, the bot thought that I was swearing. I wasn't. There was no swear words at all. But I just thought, oh man, did I lose my critical thinking in that example? Okay, and then number 2, so this happened many years ago, like probably 30 years ago. And I had a client message me early in the morning saying, Leanne, is your website supposed to be have a picture of people pointing guns at you? And for a split second, I thought that the world had turned upside down and that our website had somehow, like I just completely lost my critical thinking in that moment because I was so stressed that this client thought that our website had pictures of people pointing guns at you. Actually, it turned out to be true. Our website had been hacked, and there was a picture of people pointing guns. So I managed to get it fixed very quickly. But oh my goodness, that was yeah, that was a couple of examples of when I was not using my critical thinking. Oh, I'm having a DM here. Oh, yeah. So if you're having internet issues, I trust that you're doing the best you can. I've had a lot of issues where I am right now, so I am keeping all of my digits crossed that the internet holds. I've added extra onto my phone, and I'm in the fastest place possible where I am. I'm coming to you from a place I'm not usually in. So yeah, let's just all say a little prayer to the internet gods for all of us. Okay, particularly if this is your first roundtable, know that I to design and deliver trainings for clients, many UN teams, for example, and I do a lot of work in working better together. So a lot of team building, conflict resolution, communication, collaboration training. And then I also do a lot of work in digital engagement. So I teach clients how to use tech tools for ease and efficiency, for example. And then I also work with subject matter experts who need to learn how to design and teach really engaging, interesting workshops. And actually, I'll tell you more about that at the end of the workshop today because I'm doing some workshops for the UN, actually on effective online presentations, and also some upcoming courses on work-life balance. So I'll tell you more about that later. But in the meantime, let's have everyone just very quickly just unmute and say hello in whatever language you wish. So everyone unmute just for a second. Unmute, unmute, unmute. Just everyone unmute. And then on the count
Hello?
of three, yeah, on the count of three, say hello. 1, 2, 3.
Hello.
Hello,
Oh,
hello, hello.
Hola.
oh, lovely. Oh, that's so great. Okay, and if I can ask you to mute again, that would be great. Okay, and then I am going to play this very quick video. And I know you've got a lot of things on your plate, a lot of things pulling on your time. So to help us get focused and to sink into the learning today, I thought I would ask you, you'll see in the video, it's very self-evident, but what is the crowd chanting? Okay, so the question is, what is the crowd chanting? And when you hear what they're chanting, put it in the chat. Okay, so here we go.
I'm going to play a recording of people chanting, "That is embarrassing."
Okay, let me just pause. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear the video, okay? Can you hear that video okay? Just give me a thumbs up. I just played it just for a second there. Great. Okay, here we go. Okay.
4 times. After the 4th time, write down what you hear. Interesting. Almost every
Okay, so what did you hear? Let me know in the chat. Did you hear that is embarrassing? You can do a thumbs up, or if you heard something different, you can put that in the chat, whatever you wish. But what did you hear? Oh, Tana didn't have sound. Okay. So I think oh, sorry, Tana. Maybe turn your sound because I asked people and they had thumbs up. Okay, so some people did hear it. Sorry, Tana. I'm gonna play it again at the end of the workshop. Some people just heard. Okay, let me just play. I'm just gonna rewind it here. I'll play it again. Here we go.
I'm going to play a recording of people chanting, "That is embarrassing," 4 times. After the 4th time, write down what you hear. Enter
Okay. So Ivan heard it 4 times. Okay. Okay. And Anika saying couldn't make out what was being chanted. Okay. Stella heard that is embarrassing. Okay. Solange heard that is embarrassing 4 times. Okay. Oh, Emmy heard a bunch of numbers. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So we're going to come back to that later. In the meantime, just a couple of quick suggestions. I know that your time is really valuable, and I would really like for you at the end of this to come away thinking, oh, that was time really well spent. So, in order to make this as helpful as possible to you, a couple of suggestions. Number one, participate, please. I know there's so much wisdom in this group. So please ask questions, offer your resources, offer your opinions. Please participate as much as you're comfortable. Number two, we have LinkedIn and Facebook learning and development groups. So if you're interested, feel free to join those groups. I'll just put those in the chat. And you can communicate in between meetings. Please also, I love to join, or rather to build this community. So if you're finding this roundtable useful, please share the membership link and so other people can join us. I'd really appreciate that. Also, for every roundtable, I will share a feedback link with you to get your very valuable feedback. And as a thank you for filling in that feedback, I always draw a winner for my Ban Boring Online Meetings course. So I'll let you know who that winner is at the end of the workshop today. And then also members, and by the way, you became a member when you joined today's roundtable. You'll get the workbook, you'll get the PowerPoint, you'll get the audio recording, the video recording, everything. But it takes me a while to put those things together. And members were saying to me, oh, Leanne, I really want to get those things faster. So at the very end of our time together, magically, poof, the PowerPoint will be in your inbox. So you will get that PowerPoint at the very end of our workshop today. Okay, one final thing before we dive in. I would really encourage you to be kind to your future self. And what do I mean by that? It's one thing to take a workshop. It's another thing to have a tool to help you remember what you're learning so that you can actually use what you're learning. So every roundtable, I share a different tool to help you curate your learning. And this month's is the to do to done. So if you wish, the link is in the chat. And if you're watching in the future, all the links will be down below the video. You can download that worksheet and you can fill it in. Okay, can I get a thumbs up? Are you ready to dive into critical thinking? You ready to dive in? Can I get a couple of thumbs up? Great. Okay. So here we go. For the rest of our time together today, Tana, thanks. I saw you drop off and then come back on. I'm glad you made it back in. So we're going to talk about what critical thinking is and what it's not. And by the way, I'll give you all the resources, all the research and references that I used for this roundtable. You'll get that all in the workbook. We'll look at why I was amazed. I mean, I knew critical thinking was important, but it's actually critical. You know, critical thinking is really critical. So I'll share with you the critical benefits of critical thinking. And then we'll talk about why is it so hard to think critically and how to your brain actually sets a trap for you. So you're not alone of why critical thinking is so hard. Oh, some are saying, oh, no worries, Tana. Annika's saying that is the presentation blurry for other folks? Annika's saying it's blurry from her end. It could be my internet. I've done the absolute best I can do. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. I feel very badly about that. I've done the absolute best I can do for the internet here. Okay, hopefully the internet will speed up. But in the meantime, you will get the PowerPoint. So, oh, thanks, Annika. So the sound is clear. Okay, that's good to know. So we're going to go over, I did a bunch of research, and then I made up these 8 memorable critical thinking skills. I made them up, but they're all based on research. You're going to learn how to act like a mindset monk, act like a scientist who's in a pickle, act like a prism, act like a diagnosing doctor, a primed psychologist, a curious kid, your own MVP, and a nun with a habit. And then finally, if you are a UN staff, UN and non-UN staff are absolutely welcome. Anyone who's interested in learning is welcome here. If you are a UN staff and you want to, you can count this towards your professional development. And thanks to the people who filled in last month's feedback form, because that also gives you a chance to tell me what you want in the next month's roundtable. So I took your suggestions about critical thinking when I designed this workshop. So what is critical thinking? I love this graphic here. It looks at, how the customer explained it, how the project leader understood it, how the analyst designed it, etc. Right? So everyone has kind of a different opinion here. So what is critical thinking? And by the way, the 2 key resources that I used in designing this was the HBR, so Harvard Business Review's Guide to Critical Thinking. So good. If you're going to follow up with one of the resources, that was by far my favorite. And then I also read a book called The Critical Thinking in a Nutshell, which was also good, but I like the HBR one better. So simply, and this is from the HBR guide, critical thinking is reasoning through pressing issues, taking the time to evaluate a topic from all sides. And it also includes questioning assumptions. It's using our logic. It's really looking at what assumptions are we making. And it's also, I love this piece here. It's also looking at diversity of thought. Diversity of thought. So not just looking at things from our perspective, but from other people's as well. So I wanted to show you critical thinking in action, and I'm going to play this very quick video clip. And the challenge here is to get the hula hoop, so this round circular tube, from one end to the other. I'll play half of it and see if you can think of another way to do this task other than the way they're doing it. Okay, here we go.
1, 2, 3.
Kelso, let me know that that others you can just hear it, not see it. Oh, I'm so sorry, folks. Okay, so imagine there's a line of people, and the people are, and by the way, thank you so much for letting me know. Thank you, thank you. So imagine there's a line of people and they're holding hands, and at one end of the line, there's a hula hoop. So there's a large plastic circle, and they're passing this circle down the line without breaking the hands. Okay, so this happens to be a line of men who are doing this, and they are moving their bodies through this circle, this hula hoop, without breaking their hands. So hopefully I've described that. Hopefully I've described that well enough. Can you think of an alternative way to do it? So they take about 30 seconds to do this, to move the hula hoop from one end of the line to the other. Can you think of another way to do it? And I know it's a little bit hard to to imagine. But yeah, they take 32 seconds to do it. Any ideas of much faster way? Ah, Kelso's saying put the hula on the floor and kick it. Oh, interesting. Annika's saying they could stand together closely and pull it from top to bottom. Oh, good. Okay, I'm going to play the video just for a couple seconds. Hopefully it'll hold. But let's see. So that's how the men did it. Here's how the women did it. So I don't know if you could see it, but the women chose to hold the hula hoop stationary and then move through it one by one. And they did it in, I think, 5 seconds. So it was super, super fast. Oh, Stella's seen it before. Yeah, the women, yeah, they did it in like so fast. So that's critical thinking, right? That is taking time to identify an assumption you might be making, to take into account other people's thoughts and really, take some different action. So what is critical thinking not? So what isn't critical thinking? I love this. This is from HBR. It's WTF. Now in the chat, see if you can come up with, now, of course, no swear words. This is a professional setting. Atikila is saying, what are the assumptions? So the assumptions are that well, actually, you let me know in the chat. What do you think what assumptions were the men making with the hula hoop? What assumptions were they making? I can think of a couple. Any guesses? That there was only one way to do it? Yes, Annika, yeah. They were also making the assumption that they had to stand still and that it was the hula hoop that had to move. And the women flipped that. So the women held the hula hoop still and and that made all the difference, right? So they just flipped that assumption on its ear. Okay, so this comes from the Harvard Business Review book that I read. What do you think? And of course, no swear words, as I mentioned, because it's a professional setting. But critical thinking is not this thing. What could WTF stand for? That does not include a swear word. So put it in the chat. What could WTF stand for that is not a swear word? Any guesses? So willful, tigers frolicking. I'm just making stuff up. Woolly, theta fraternity. Does anyone have any other ideas? WhatsApp, TikTok, Facebook. Oh, I love that, Ivan. That's a great one. WhatsApp, TikTok, Facebook. Oh, I love that. Thanks. Okay, where is the fun? Oh, at Tequila, that's great. Okay, well, in this case, it stands for wishful thinking forever. So I thought this was so clever. And Atikila also said, why that fast? Sorry, I think I might have said Atikila said, where's the fun? Thanks also. So critical thinking is not wishful thinking, is not, well, I want that to be true, so it's true. That's what I want. That's what I believe. So I'm going to just have wishful thinking and believe that that's true. So critical thinking is not selective thinking, right? It's not paying attention to some facts and not other facts. It's not getting to choose what you think is true because you want it to be true. And I like this comic here. I've heard the rhetoric from both sides. Time to do my own research on the real truth. And then it says, Google literally the first link that agrees with what you believe. and then the character says jackpot, right? So very selective, Googling for the things that you, only looking for the things that you already believe. It's also, critical thinking is also not just relying on your own expertise. So that was some of the most interesting research I read on this topic. It's really important to get other people's input. It's also not jumping to conclusions, right? It's not making decisions on very limited input. And we saw that in action, right? When these guys thought that there was one way to do it, and the women were the ones who turned that on they turned that assumption on its head. So we've talked about what critical thinking is and what it's not. What are the and I don't know about you, but I'd be interested. I don't know if you can find an emoji with the eyebrows up, but if any of this data surprises you, in the how extremely important critical thinking is, feel free to put that emoji in the chat. Um, I don't know if you know Adam Grant. He's a social or organizational psychologist rather, does amazing research. And I took this clip from him. In your career, the most valuable currency is not how much you know, it's how well you learn. In a stable world, success depended on building expertise. Notice the past tense. In a changing world, it hinges on evolving expertise. Potential is no longer defined by ability, it's a function of agility. Annika's saying oh, okay. I guess the slides are taking a little bit of time to switch over. Again, I know your time is very valuable, and I feel very bad about the internet. I've done my absolute best to make this as fast. I'm teaching from a place I'm not normally. I'm in Arizona, in the United States instead of Nairobi. So I think it just is taking a little bit of time for the slides to switch over. My apologies. Again, you'll get the audio recording, the video recording, and you'll get the slide deck. The slide deck will come into your inbox the second the roundtable ends. So here are some critical benefits. And by the way, Annika, thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. So the critical benefits of critical thinking is knowing how to think critically is essential for professional growth, particularly if you want to get into or continue to be in a leadership position. It's especially critical in today's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. The World Economic Forum's Future Jobs Report from 2020 reported international business leaders see critical thinking and analysis as a skill set in growing demand. So not only is it critical, but it's getting more and more and more and more important. And an SHRM report finds critical thinking is one of the most in-demand skills for job candidates. So one of the things that employers are most looking for, and it's one of the things that is most commonly missing. So people really, really, really are needing this, are looking for this, and people don't have this skill set. So it is massively important to develop this. I love this. It's in the top 10 skills that are going to be needed for 2025, right? Analytical thinking, active thinking, complex problem solving, critical thinking and analysis. Those are all the top 10 skills for 2025. Okay, 93% of business leaders surveyed in North America agreed with a demonstrated capacity to think critically, communicate clearly, and solve complex problems is more important than a candidate's undergraduate major. So it's more important than school. It's more important than what you did your degree in, or if you're currently doing your degree. Okay, a couple more. Oh, I've got some more folks coming in. Also, critical thinking, you are far more likely to make a correct decision, and you're way more likely to save time. Critical thinking is a critical component of human progress. So, without critical thinking, we'd still think that the earth is flat, right? We need critical thinking in order to grow and develop. And also with the growing division in society, the very survival of our businesses and our communities depend on it. I think that is incredibly, I don't know, is incredibly telling. And yet it's really, really hard to do. So just before we switch over to that, I'll just describe this video to you, and try to think how you would react, because it's really, really hard to think critically for a number of reasons, that I'll go into in just a minute. But before I do that, any comments, any questions, anything that surprises you or doesn't make sense? Let me know in the chat. We'll just pause here just for a second. Hmm. Any questions, any comments, any resources, any critical thinking resources that you know of that you'd like to share? Mm. Okay. Okay, well, I was gonna play you this clip, so I'll do my best to describe it. Basically, it's people don't know this, but it's a social experiment, and they're in a doctor's office, and they're waiting to see a doctor. And every time a bell rings, the receptionist rings a bell, people in the room. Yeah, Kelso, I'll definitely send you the link. It will be in the link, absolute or in the resources, absolutely. Um, and every time this bell rings, people in the waiting room stand up. So they've been primed. Oh, isn't it scary, Kelso? I know. So they've been primed they've been told when the bell rings, stand up. Other people then enter. Hi, Amir. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Other people enter the waiting room who know nothing about this experiment, and the bell rings and they see these other people standing up. And would you believe every single person ends up standing up when the bell rings? And as they call people in to see the doctor, now remember, this is an experiment, there's no doctor. All of the original people who were told to stand up when the bell rings, and they know it's an experiment, they're all gone. And people continue to do it. And someone comes in and says, "Why are you standing up?" And she says, "I don't know. Everyone else was doing it, so I did it." So I hand it to everyone, right? Everyone's busy. It's a difficult thing to do to think critically. So here are and you know I love this meme here. If someone says it's raining and another says it's dry, it's not your job to quote them both. Your job is to look out of the window and see which is true. I think that's so good. Oh, got some more folks joining us. Okay. So it is hard. If it was easy, then we'd all do it, and there'd be no fake news. There'd be no wild rumors. It just wouldn't exist. So, but why? Why is it so hard? And our brain sets this trap for us. So why is it so hard? It's so hard because we make 266 decisions a day just on one thing. Any guesses what it is? Annika's saying the Bell example sounds so much like public administration where I live. Oh, I'm not going to ask you where you live. Yeah. So we make 266 decisions a day. Yeah, the herd instinct, Katie. Yeah, right. We don't want to be left behind. We don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want to stick out too much. So, any idea, what do you think we make 266 decisions on one topic? Just on one topic. What is that thing? Ah, Annika, you are exactly right. I don't know about you. I was amazed. I can't like 266 decisions just on food. That's it. And by the way, this is from Cheryl Strauss research. Yeah. So you can imagine, right? There's such a thing called decision fatigue, right? We get tired of making all these decisions. And I love this quote. This is from E.O. Wilson, who's the father of social biology. We have prehistoric brains, medieval institutions, and godlike technology. So our brains are still built to try to protect us from woolly myths and things like that. And they're not really built to deal with things like Chat GPT and all of this incredible tech that is moving so quickly. By the way, I did a whole roundtable based on members' request on ChatGPT a couple of months ago. Members get access to all the past roundtables, so you can look that up if you're interested. And depending on where you live, you may know the bird that's called a pigeon. And pigeons, if you can see my picture, move their heads like this, right? And that's because their eyesight is so poor that they're actually forcing their surroundings to move so that they can pay attention. Our brains are the opposite, right? Sometimes when there's some kind of sensory information coming into our brain, that's repeated a lot, we actually ignore it, right? It's coming in too often, so our brain actually discards it. And um, that's a trap or an effect called it's called the Troxler effect. So I'll send the video in you'll get this in all of the resources. But this one here, this is another way to look at it. So I'm just going to be quiet for a couple of seconds, and hopefully the slide has come on with that has a little black dot, and take about, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds and stare very intently at that black dot. Don't look at anything else. Just stare very as with as much focus as you can. Stare at that black dot and see if you can tell what happens. This is the Troxler effect. Okay. Did those kind of turquoise rectangles, did they disappear for anyone? Did they disappear for anyone? That's again, that's the example of the Trox. Yeah, I got a couple thumbs up there. Yeah, isn't that amazing, right? Yeah, the blue bands disappeared, right, Needy? Yeah. And if later on, if you wish, I've bookmarked all these so you can do it on your own time. But with this video, that white ball goes around and around and around, and eventually it just disappears, right? So our brains are only built to take in so much sensory information, and our brains will actually discard a lot of things that our brains think aren't important, but sometimes it's actually discarding very important things. By the way, we'll be having a quick 5-minute break shortly. We'll just finish this piece on why we've talked about what critical thinking is, what it's not, why it's so hard to think critically. And then after the break, we'll get into these fun skills that help you think more critically. So another reason why it's so hard and why rumors just fly incessantly, things that are outrageous, people actually start to believe. Part of the reason that those things happen and people don't think critically is because we live in a world of incessant distractions, and technology is often to blame. Now, I'm a huge tech fan, so I don't want to lay the blame for everything at the feet of technology. I think we're in control of tech, and it's really important for how we use it. But definitely, we have so many distractions, so many. Also, we have something called the urgency trap. Let me know if you've heard of this. Has anyone heard of the urgency trap? This is where your attention is pulled to what you think is urgent and think needs dealing with. It may or may not be important. It may not be the best use of your time. But for example, if you work in an office, or for those of you who are work from home and it's hard for you to remember what an office is, um, just try to cast your mind back pre-COVID. If someone's knocking on your door, that's a sense of urgency, right? Who's there? What do they want? But it may be a complete distraction, right? Absolutely not important, not strategic at all. But our brains are really built to deal with things that they think are urgent. And I love this piece. Again, this comes from the HBR book. We have different traps that kick in this urgency effect. And so the author suggested um, to diagnose your own urgency trap, because there's different kinds. To diagnose your own trap, fill in this sentence. When the demands I face increase, and my capacity is stretched thin, a counterproductive habit I have is blank. So when the demands I face increase and my capacity is stretched thin, a counterproductive habit I have is. So for me, I realize my urgency trap is when I feel really overwhelmed. So one of my motivational styles is something that really motivates me is a sense of achievement or accomplishment. So when I can tick things off my list, I'm getting things done, etc. So when I feel really overwhelmed, in that moment, I just stop. I get anxious and very unhappy when I'm super overwhelmed. Tala saying her uh, um, urgency trap is to stop and grab something to eat. Yeah, yeah. If you feel like sharing, let us know in the chat what triggers that sense of urgency. Oh, everything's awful, nothing's working. That sense of really feeling things are not going well. Oh, Larissa is agreeing to Tala. Yeah, anyone else? What is that urgency trap for me? So Raluca saying go for a walk. So these are all really healthy responses to the urgency trap, but the authors are trying to get you to identify what triggers that urgency trap for you. So I love this shows what a brilliant group you are. You're automatically skipping to the healthy way to cope with that. But what is the thing that, oh, you're like, it just, really triggers you to not be in a good space? Annika saying, I focus on stuff that I can get done quickly and put off difficult things. Oh, that's a great one, Annika. Yeah, because we want to have, it makes sense, right? Your brain is like, I want to have a sense of achievement, of accomplishment. So let me just, I'm filling in the blanks here a little bit, Annika. Let me just quickly check my email so I can feel a sense of accomplishment. And maybe 3, 4 hours later on a bad day, still checking that email. Meanwhile, the most important thing that you needed to get done that day, hasn't gotten started yet. Raluca saying wanting to meet deadlines. Yeah, so sometimes that anxiety, that stress can really get high if you feel extreme pressure with a deadline. Yes, Annika saying yes, emails is a horrible trap. By the way, as an aside, for 3 years now, I've been tracking my time, and I'll put the tool in the chat there. It's toggle.com. I had no idea how much time I was spending on email. So that was a super helpful tool to really help me understand how I was spending my time. Um, okay. Nidhi is saying a sudden impulse by listening and hearing something about a topic that we have parked for a while. Yeah, so if someone's talking about something and you're interested in that topic, that might really pull you away. Um, Larissa saying, not that eating is that good a trap. I'm a bit overweight. Oh, okay. Yeah. Solange is saying the Microsoft Digest statistics also are cool to understand how much time we spend in meeting chats, etc. Yeah. Great. Okay, so just a couple more things before we take a quick break. And we're talking about why it's so hard to think critically, because please don't beat yourself up, right? Our society, we're moving so quickly. We've got so much on our plates, and critical thinking, even though it saves time in the end, in terms of making costly errors, it does take time up front. So it is really hard to do. Um, Another quote I pulled from the HBR book is we move forward too quickly, relying on the same behaviors and solutions that helped us succeed in the past. So we continue to use things that have worked in the past, even though the situation may have changed. So we're not growing, we're not developing, we're not learning, we're not realizing that there's better ways to do things. And this is a great thing with technology, right? If you're on top of technology, you can find tools that really can save you time and bring you some ease and efficiency. And then you can spend more time critical thinking on those really big, juicy, important things. Okay, and all of those things make us fall prey to these myths. Um, and I am using this image with permission. Um, Anuj kindly gave me permission to use this. And so I know it's 11 myths about decision making, but I think it really has to do with critical thinking as well. So, I like to be efficient. I'm too busy. I don't have time. I can make a rational decision. I don't need to consult anyone else. I have all the information I need, right? All of these things really contribute to not focusing so well on critical thinking. Okay, are you ready for a 5-minute stretch break? Can I get a thumbs up? Mm. Okay, great. Okay, just before you go into the break, um, the QR code there is a link to the Learning and Development Roundtable membership link. So please do share that. I would really, really appreciate it if you share that with some colleagues and help grow our community. I've also put the link in the chat. Also, please mark your calendars. I've put all the rest of the dates, the upcoming roundtables in the chat there. The next one is on April 18th, and it's on character skills for success and self-awareness. Also, I put a link there to my upcoming courses. So this is just for UN staff. I'm teaching some courses on effective online presentations and work-life balance courses. So you can find that information at the link in the chat. So take a stretch, grab a tea, hug, I don't know, a kid or a colleague with permission, if it's appropriate. And we'll see you back here in 5 minutes. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate you being here. So we'll take a break for 5 minutes. Again. Okay, welcome back, future you. If you are watching this on a video, if you took a little stretch there. Larissa was saying responded to emails. Great. I was messaging. I was just in the South in Chattanooga, Tennessee for a wedding. So I was messaging my friend, the mom of the groom, just to check in with her. Okay. Okay, are you ready to learn about, we've got some folks coming in, 8 memorable critical thinking skills? Just give me a thumbs up. We'll spend the rest of our time, except for the closing, of course. We'll spend the rest of our time focusing on, okay, hopefully I've made the case that critical thinking is super important. By the way, were you surprised how important it was? I was just amazed at that data. Let me know in the chat if you were surprised at how important and also how lacking it is, right? Oh, thanks, Tequila. Shared the link with the roundtable with a colleague. Oh, I so appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so we're going to dive into some skills. I just wanted to give you a couple of caveats first, and this is kind of killing me because I'm so sorry about the bandwidth. But again, all of these links are saved. Oh, thanks, Larissa, for sharing that. That is not the link, though. That's the, yeah, I can share the link at the end of this call. Someone just remind me and I'll do that. Raluca, yeah, I'm so sorry. We're having some issues with internet here, and I don't take that lightly. I did my absolute very, very best to get the strongest. I'm not where I normally am. So I apologize for the quality of the internet. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so I'm not going to play this video because I don't think it'll play, but don't worry, I've kept all the links. They're in one place for you. You'll get them at the very end of the workshop today. So basically, it's a very humorous take on the drastic need for critical thinking skills and not making decisions based on twisting it left or right. You know, this kind of cookie. A couple of other caveats before we jump in. You know, has anyone seen this thing? And I know some of you may not be on Facebook anymore, but has anyone seen on Facebook, tomorrow starts the new Facebook, AKA new name meta rule where they can use your photos. Don't forget the deadline is today. I do not give Facebook or any entities associated with Facebook permission to use my pictures, information, messages, or posts, both past and future. With the statement, I give notice to Facebook, it is strictly forbidden to disclose, copy, distribute, or take any other action against me based on this profile. Has anyone ever seen that on Facebook? And people will put, you know, by posting this, they're not giving permission to Facebook to own their photos. Has anyone seen that on Facebook? Oh, you've seen it on LinkedIn. Oh, really? Okay. Okay. So I put a link in the chat there to Snopes. Has anyone used Snopes before? Yeah, exactly, Raluca. Yeah, so many people fall for this. Snopes is great. It's such a great site. And if you're reading an article and you're like, I'm not sure if this is true or not, you can put that article into Snopes and it will do a very good job of telling you if it's true or not. Tad is saying yes to Snopes. Yeah, it's a great site. So because so many people fall for things like this, you know, it's just another reason why we need critical thinking so much. Also, just a bit of a tongue in cheek. So for example, I do have a skill that I just playfully named a nun with a habit. So these are just cheeky, tongue-in-cheek, playful names of skills that I made up based on the research that I did. And then finally, if you want to, you can kind of play along. So I'm going to introduce these 8 skills in just a second. And I put a Padlet. So if you haven't used Padlet before, it's an online collaboration tool that's really, really, really simple. And I've asked people to create their own critical thinking recipes. So if you had to make a recipe for critical thinking, what's that like? So if you want to, you can play along as we do this, or you can do it later. It's completely up to you. And again, all the links will be together, all together. I'll give you the link to the links at the end of the workshop today. Okay, another quick video that I was going to play. I don't know if anyone's seen this. This person's trying to feed their dog, and they put food in the the dog dish and put it down, and the dog won't eat it. And then they take the dish and they pretend to chop and cut. They pretend to put it in the microwave. They do nothing to the dog food, except pretend to do stuff. And then when they put the dog food down, the dog eats it. Right? So not a lot of critical thinking going on there. Okay, so let's get into these 8 skills here. Let me just pause though. Any questions so far? How are you? Are we good to continue? Thumbs up if you're good and we can keep going, or if you have any questions. Okay, see some thumbs up. Okay. Okay, so one of the 8 skills, and I made up these skills based on all the research I did in those two books and all the other reading that I did. So one of the skills is to act like a mindset monk. So if you've been to other roundtables, you'll have heard me talk about mindset before, and you can measure your mindset with the link that I gave in the information that you would have received before the roundtable, and I also just put it in the chat. So one of the things that can really help with having critical thinking skills is to have a growth mindset as opposed to fix. So growth mindset is we can grow, we can learn, we can develop, we can change. Fixed is, oh, failure is, things are over and done with when I fail, and I can't really change things very much. Let me know in the chat, did anyone get a chance to do your mindset? Have you taken that survey? This is Dr. Carol Dweck's work. It's probably my all-time favorite book in terms of how much it's changed my thinking. Did anyone get a chance to take that survey? Not yet. That's a growth mindset, saying not yet. I love that. That's great. That's great, Larissa. Okay, so it's there if you wish, if that's of interest to you. So think about your mindset. Oh, okay, and someone's clicking on the link. That's great. So having a growth mindset will really, really help with critical thinking and acting like a scientist so that you don't end up in a pickle. So I have a little story I'm going to read to you. So just relax. You might wish to, if you're wearing glasses, you can take your glasses off, just uncross your legs, just get comfortable, and I'm just going to read this story to you. Did you know that pickles will kill you? Every pickle you eat brings you nearer to death. Pickles are associated with all major diseases of the body. They can be related to most airline tragedies. There exists a positive relationship between crime waves and consumption of this fruit of the cucurbit family. For example, nearly all sick people have eaten pickles. The effects are obviously cumulative. 99.7% of people involved in air and auto accidents ate pickles within 14 days preceding the accident. 93.1% of juvenile delinquents come from homes where pickles are served frequently. Evidence points to the long-term effects of pickle eating. Of the people born in 1869 who later dined on pickles, there has been a 100% mortality. All pickle eaters born between 1869 and 1879 have wrinkled skin, have lost most of their teeth, have brittle bones, and failing eyesight from the ills of eating pickles. Even more reason to get knowledgeable about critical thinking, so you won't end up in a pickle. So this is clearly a story about needing to act like a scientist. It's completely mixing up cause and effect, right? Of course, if you're born in 1869, you're going to be wrinkled, and it has nothing to do with pickles. I love all of the comments that are coming in on the chat there. Yeah, and how often do we kind of fall for things like that? And we believe it because we don't really have make time to look into it. So I also in the resources will leave you another example of why it's so important to act like a scientist. This actual article, think about who would have written this article. Where are they from? That shows that plastic is good for the environment. So who would have written that article? It's a very long article, so I'm not going to read it out, but it's in the workbook that you'll get. So who would have written an article saying plastic is good for the environment? The plastic industry. Exactly, Annika. Yeah, exactly. And this whole thing is like meant for kids in schools. Like it's astonishing. So in addition to your growth mindset, think about acting like a scientist, question assumptions, be a healthy skeptic, articulate and test hypothesis, probe cause and effect, and experiment. I love this idea, like have a little experiment. Okay, if I do this, um, what's the effect of this? Okay, Kelso saying, when you read a scientific article, you learn to search for the funding, yes, and the association of the author. Right. Who wrote it or said it, and what's their background, right? Who benefits, right? Who benefits from this? Okay, so we've got our scientist, we've got our mindset monk. Also think about acting like a prism. Yeah, exactly, Needy. Like if a big corporation stands to have financial benefit, you know it's probably going to have some bias in it. So a third skill is think about acting like a prism, right? So there's one source of light coming in that gets refracted into these different colors. So think about perspective. Can you zoom in, right? Get more detail. Can you zoom out and see the big picture? That comes from the HBR book. I have a tool that I've designed to help you identify your perspectives, and I'll put this link in the chat. It's a free assessment you can take called Life Lenses, and it really helps you identify your perspective that comes to you naturally and easily, and then also the other perspectives that you may wish to also learn from. Think about bringing the right people in to get their perspective. So I've had this lovely, gosh, I've been doing it for about a year and a half, looking at different ways to take my business and some additional things I could be doing. So I've been interviewing people that know me, clients and participants who know me really well, saying, what do you think? I'm not putting the responsibility on you, but I'm really interested, because it's my responsibility, but I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. It has been so much fun. It's gone from a sort of, oh, this is a difficult process to, oh, I'm really enjoying this. And I loved in the HBR book, they talked about specifically seeking out particular mindsets or particular perspectives. So if you're facing a challenge, if you're facing a problem, if you're trying to make a decision, could you talk to someone who's an adventurer? You know, they're the ones who are going to give you all these wild ideas. Could you talk to someone who's a detective, someone who's really good at piecing things together? Maybe you need someone just to listen, right? Talk to someone who's a really good listener, someone who's a good thinker, and someone who's visionary. I didn't go into the detail in this workshop, but in the HBR book, they talk about the biases. I love this, the cognitive biases of each of those types. So kind of the pros and cons. Stella saying critical thinking is becoming very unpopular in an increasingly political correctness culture. Oh, that's a big topic. I think that sometimes the people that have been left out in those conversations and are now being included, that can be hard for people whose voices are commonly heard. But yeah, that's a whole. And actually, there's a roundtable on. Oh gosh, it's towards the end of the year because I'm doing research on it all year, but about unconscious bias. Yeah, yeah. People asked for a workshop on unconscious bias. Um, yeah, so yeah, definitely some teams, some organizations are much more open to critical thinking than others. And there's a difference between critical thinking and being unkind, right? Critical thinking doesn't mean I can just say anything, even if it's hurtful. Talvi saying, I like hanging out with creative thinkers. It can be contagious. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And did you know if you're trying to be creative, go outside. The research shows that the higher the ceiling or even no ceiling, the more creative you are. Isn't that amazing? Molly, I love that statement. I'm not putting the responsibility on you, but I'm interested to know what you think. Yeah. Oh, so good. I've gotten so many ideas. Ellen saying, I can see the opposite, an increasing amount of critical thinking, more political correctness in society. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is critical thinking. I like this. We're actually modeling what we're talking here. Okay. So, okay. So we've acting like a prism, um, acting like a prime psychologist. Oh, this was so good. I love this piece of research here. And I'm sorry, I just realized the numbers are off here. So the research talks in the HBR book about priming yourself for cognitive flexibility. And part of cognitive flexibility, so being able to incorporate other viewpoints, other perspectives, is tolerance for ambiguity. So we are more comfortable with like danger to ourselves than we are, or say with risk. We're more comfortable with risk than we are with ambiguity. So what does that mean? It means that we rush to make up a decision. We rush to make a decision because we want to have certainty. And you can actually measure your tolerance for ambiguity. And I've sent you that link there. Um, and some other ways to act like a prime psychologist is to listen more than you talk and override your brain's prediction engine. I love that. So Ellen and I are chatting. I'm just making this up, Ellen, and she's talking about something, and I'm predicting what she's going to say. Oh, I know what she's going to say, right? We do this unconsciously. And I love that statement from that book, the HBR book. We need to override our brain's prediction engine. And they also talked about having conversational receptiveness. I'll talk more about that in a second. And apparently Benjamin Franklin did this. He was famous for saying, I could be wrong, but, right? So he's priming himself and other people to have different perspectives. And another term for this is conversational receptiveness. So we tend to prefer to have conversations with people who confirm our beliefs. And when people differ with us, with our opinions, we try to convince them. So in terms of this receptiveness, there's 4 strategies. This is so powerful. Acknowledge other people's perspective. So thank you so much, Tequila, for that viewpoint. It was really, really interesting. Then hedge your claims. So this sounds much less dogmatic. So what do I mean by hedge your claims? What Benjamin Franklin said, I could be wrong, but, what do you think of this? And then phrase things in positive terms. So instead of, say, if Atikila and I were having a disagreement, if our views were different, um, the idea of saying, what about if we consider this piece? And then the fourth thing is point to areas of agreement, no matter how small they are. No, so at Tequila, I really do agree with this piece that you said here, this particular thing. And I wonder if we went down the road of of considering this. What do you think? Molly's saying, is it healthy to always say we could be wrong? Like it won't make you less assertive. Yeah, so Molly, you might enjoy this HBR book on critical thinking because it goes into much more detail about that. You're really right to pick that up. Um, and it talks about how we prefer our leaders to be so assertive, and we know this is the law, this is right, everyone else is wrong, but that's not good for critical thinking. So it can go a little bit against the grain, but that um, that flexibility, that conversational receptiveness really helps to include other people in the conversation. So yeah, so I love that you brought that up, Molly. That's great. Hmm. Um, okay, so the fourth skill here is to act like a curious kid. Now, I'm not going to play the video because I'm sorry we've just had challenges, but this this guy films his partner, and she's washing her face and her hands, and she's like, "Oh, you got a new soap. There's something different about the soap." So she has enough critical thinking to know that the soap is different. There's something unusual about the soap, but she keeps going. She keeps washing her face. And what she doesn't realize is, for some strange reason, her prankster partner has cut a potato in the shape of soap. So she's actually washing her face with a potato. So I thought that was a really good example of when we there's so much about our life that is routine and patterns, and we don't stop to think like a kid, right? Kids are so curious. So I think we can take a lot of good lessons from kids. For example, what is that white um circle in the on the slide there? How would you describe that white circle? Let me know in the chat. What, any ideas? What's that white circle? Any guesses? You can't get this wrong. A hole through the door. Oh, nice. Also, the moon, says Solange. Atikila saying a thing that exists in a toilet. Oh, these are great. This is great. You clearly don't have any issues acting like curious kids. This is an exercise from Roger Van Oak, who's a creativity expert. And when he asks adults, they say things like, it's a white dot, it's a white circle. And when he asks kids, when he asks like kindergartners, so like 5-year-olds roughly, they say things like, it's the view that a crow gets flying over a fence post. Right, which I just think is so, so, so clever. Yeah, Molly's saying I was going to say it's a white dot because we want to give the answer and then move on, right? So kids are so curious, and that can really, really help with critical thinking, right? So it could be a million things, right? An absolute, it could be a turquoise tablecloth with a hole in it, right? with the white table underneath. It could be anything. So, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, his parents apparently asked him, white ink, says Needy, or Ivan saying a golf ball. Yeah, exactly. Um, so this Nobel Peace Prize winner was asked, what good questions did you ask today? So sometimes if we focus on the questions, not so much the answers, we can really be helpful with our critical thinking. Tala saying the same thing happened to me to put a hair product for a while on my face because it said moisturizer, even if it felt wrong. Yeah, yeah. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. Right? Because you're probably busy getting ready in the morning and okay, maybe something's weird, but I gotta get to work. I gotta whatever. So yeah. So think about asking questions. Also, ask what if questions. I love this. And this intellectual humility is really important here. Willingness to change and the wisdom to know when you shouldn't. Um, and in terms of acting like a curious kid, HBR, that's my term, not theirs. They talk about, having respect for other viewpoints, not being intellectually overconfident. I know it all. I'm an expert. I have everything to teach and nothing to learn. Separating your ego from your intellect. Isn't that good? Separating your ego from your intellect. Being willing to revise your viewpoint. And they talk about these four things, but they're all kind of theoretical until you're curious. Once you're curious, you put all of those things into action. Okay, I see some folks laughing yeah, we're laughing with you, not at you. Yeah. Okay. And then moving along here, act like your own MVP. Act like your own MVP. And what do I mean by that? Think about balancing what is your mind and your gut. So we now know there's a very big connection between our brain and our gut. So, what is your brain and your gut saying? What are your values telling you? And then look for proof. So mind, values, proof. Then you've kind of balancing everything. You've got your intuition acting, you're looking for proof, and also values. That bottom piece, if you can see it there, is a word cloud. I was working with a countering violent extremism team, and they wanted to look at their team values. And so we did a word cloud, and the bigger the words, the more often those were mentioned. Oh, thank you, Solange. Take good care. Okay, so moving along here, I want to make sure we get through to the end here. We've just got a few minutes left. So act like your own MVP. That's your mind, your values, and your proof. And then identify the story that you're telling yourself. You've probably heard the story of um, visually impaired people feeling an elephant, and each person feels a different part of the elephant. So what story are you telling yourself? And is that really true? That's Brene Brown's work. Okay, just about at the end here. And again, tongue in cheek here. I'm not Catholic, but I hope this is okay to say. Act like a nun and make it a habit, right? So the nun's habit. So this really takes some practice, right? It's not something that's one and done, critical thinking. It's something we need to be aware of all the time. So the good news is these skills can be learned. They're easily learned. It's not something you're either born with or not, and you can share them, right, and practice. I love this thing here, right? How to be a square. Stay put, refuse to change, don't budge until one day you turn a corner and you start traveling and you grow bolder and you shift your perspective and you discover dimensions beyond what you were thinking. And change can be exhausting, but pick yourself up and find you are a diamond. Thanks, Needy. Okay, so make it a habit and don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution. I had this really cute little video here I was going to show you just as we slide into closing. And this caregiver or mom is asking this little one, are you part of the problem or are you part of the solution? And the little girl says, I am the problem. which I thought was really clever. Oh, you're so welcome, folks. Okay, so we've gone through 8 skills. We've talked about what critical thinking is, what it's not. We've talked about why it's so hard, and please don't knock yourself, on the out there. Like it is hard. And if you follow these 8 different skills, it's absolutely doable. So I wanted to bring us back to this video. And I think what I'll just do is I'll just tell you. So at the beginning, I played this video. Maybe when I stop recording, I can play it again if you want to hang around for a minute and see. But in the meantime, um, so do you remember what the crowd was chanting at the beginning of the workshop? Do you remember what they were saying? So it was on the screen, and the gentleman said the words. Do you remember what he said? Yes, yes, that is embarrassing, right, Ivan? So as he goes along, what he does is he actually puts different words on the screen, and these are the these are the words that he puts on the screen. Again, if you have a minute after the call ends, I can play it and we'll see if the internet holds. So that isn't my receipt. Lactates in pharmacy, baptism piracy, I'm chasing Martians, and Bart Simpson's bouncing. And when he writes those words on on the screen, you actually change, right? So I just wanted to end today just thanking you so much and knowing that we're all so primed, right? Yeah, wishful thinking forever. Yeah, right, tequila. Yeah. So we're so primed by our environment to not do critical thinking. So please be your beautiful, bold selves and go for it. Here is the link. So every roundtable, I share one link that contains all the links that I used. So you can click on that link and it will show you all the resources that I used for critical thinking. Please practice using those skills. So be that mindset monk, the scientist, so you're not in a pickle, the nun with a habit, etc. And this very instant, the PowerPoint deck just arrived in your email box. So you'll get that. And then on Monday, you'll get another email with the audio recording, the video recording, and also the workbook. So please take a moment and fill in the survey. That really helps me know what you'd like, how I'm doing, how I can improve. And to thank you, I always draw someone's name to win ban boring online meetings. So this month, like John from last month, is Raymond. So he'll get free access to my ban boring online meeting course. And in closing, please, 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 if I can ask, if you found value, please do share that link for to join. I'll put this here again in the chat. So there's a lot of information there. So that's the link to join. Please share it with 2 or 3 colleagues. The more, the merrier. This is such an awesome community. I'm so grateful that you're here. Also, I put the link for the UN attendance. So if you're a UN staff and you'd like to have this counted towards your professional development, feel free. And all the rest of the dates for the year are there. The next one is April 18th, and it's character skills for success and self-awareness. As I mentioned on Monday, you will get the recording and PowerPoint deck, a workbook. The video is timestamped, so you can skip ahead to the parts that you want. If you are interested in and would like to reach out to me to talk about me working with your team around team building or tech tools or training trainers, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I appreciate you. Stay well, stay safe, stay creative, stay critical thinking, and I hope that we'll see you next month. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate your time.